Hello there. The British government wants to legally delay a new election in Northern Ireland. A bill by Minister Chris Heaton-Harris that was tabled in Parliament on Monday sets a new deadline for forming a government on December 8th. This can then be extended again until January 19th. If the two most important parties of the Unionists and Republicans do not agree by then, an election must take place by April 13th at the latest. The draft also envisages cutting the salary of regional MPs by a third and strengthening the decision-making powers of senior government officials. We talked about this in earlier videos. The law addresses the realities in Britain's region during the political impasse, said Northern Ireland Minister Heaton-Harris, although he said province. I don't. The former Civil War region has not had a functioning government since last October. The most important unionist part, the DUP, is boycotting the mandatory formation of a unity government with the strongest Republican party, Sinn Féin. And they always say it's because of a dispute over special Brexit rules, but it isn't. London had therefore announced new elections as planned. Heaton-Harris called on the DUP to negotiate, though. According to experts, the political stalemate is increasingly endangering the security situation. Most recently, 2 police officers had survived a bomb attack unharmed. Investigators arrested 4 men, but they were soon released. The terrorist organization New IRA, which is fighting for unification with neighboring Ireland, is suspected. Thousands of people had been killed in decades of civil war between mostly Catholic supporters of reunification and mostly Protestant supporters of a union with Britain. It comes as the Stormont parties failed to establish a new executive by October 28th, some 24 weeks after the last assembly election in May. That placed a legal responsibility on the UK government to hold a fresh assembly election by January 19th. However, after threatening an election, Secretary of State Chris Heaton-Harris did a U-turn and ruled out a December election and he did instead bring legislation forward to extend the deadlines. And as I said, the new legislation extends the period for executive formation by 6 weeks to December 8th, with a possibility of a further 6-week extension to January 19th. The earliest an election could be held under the new legislation would be January 19th. Historically, however, deadlines are not met, which could mean an assembly election as late as April 13th. Council elections are due to be held on May 4th. That's exactly 3 weeks later. And meanwhile, the bill clarifies the decision-making powers for civil servants leading departments in the absence of ministers. And it will also enable a small number of vital public service appointments to be made. A DUP boycott of the devolved institutions in protest, as they always claim, the Brexit Northern Ireland Protocol, has prevented an executive being formed in Belfast. The largest unionist party has made clear it will not countenance a return to power sharing until the protocol's economic barriers on trade between Great Britain and Northern Ireland are scrapped, although they just don't want to be the second. Talks are ongoing between the UK and the EU over the protocol, while a bill to override elements of the protocol is currently going through the parliamentary process in Britain, which will not make the whole thing easier. And I'll see you in my next video. I'll be back.